say a few words about the structure of the course that we're about to embark upon before ending this unit here. So far what we've done is spoken about philosophy of education in a general way, talking through the major contours of education as a profession, and then unpacking that a little bit to bring out significant philosophical issues that bear directly on education. And so I've itemized 4 kinds of philosophical questions that the answers to which systematically integrated form philosophy, questions of human nature, metaphysics, ethics, and epistemology. What we will then do for the next 4 units of the course is focus on philosophy as a discipline. So what I want to do in the next unit, for example, is take up metaphysics as a subject matter. We'll plunge in, we'll do some metaphysics, get familiar with the territory, the range of opinion that is possible in metaphysical issues, at least on a few important metaphysical issues. Then having done that, move on to epistemological issues. We will plunge in and do some epistemological issues. And then again, on a couple of very important issues that are central to education, focus on the range of opinion that's available there. Then turn to issues of human nature in the 3rd unit, kick around some core issues in human nature on both sides or all sides of a controversy there. And then finally turn to some questions of ethics, values, and virtues, and again, plunge in, do some of the debates over ethical issues, and get a sense for what it is to do ethical philosophy and learn the range of opinion there. In each of the 4 units, we will also, after talking about the philosophical issues involved, pay some special attention to the educational implications, how if one takes this particular metaphysical position, there are these educational implications. If by contrast you take this metaphysical position, there are these different educational implications. And so we can see the connection between the philosophical theory and the educational practice. That I think is an important theme. Philosophy, of course, has a reputation for being abstract, and it often is very abstract. It often has its reputation for being distant from everyday concerns and not being particularly practical. And it certainly, I think, is true of some philosophies, but I would make the claim, and I'll give you this as a promissory note, that I will make good on over the course of the units here. The philosophy is a highly practical discipline that, for all of its theoretical abstraction, the kinds of decisions that one makes at a very theoretical and abstract level, those have very important implications for one's practical life, and certainly very important implications for one's educational practice life. And in many cases, the disagreements we have over educational pedagogy, or whether to include this or that on the curriculum, in many cases, those debates are at root philosophical issues, and people have made different philosophical commitments, leading to very different commitments in their educational practice. All right, so first part of the course then will be a 4-unit series of going through questions in each of the 4 major branches of philosophy and seeing the implications for them in education. Second part of the course will be a more expansive part of the course, and that will be a 7-unit section here. What I want to do is then start to look at packages of positions philosophically, what I'm going to call the isms, the ISMs, to have an ism, that is to say, a worked out philosophy. And to have a worked out philosophy is to have a position on human nature, a position on metaphysics, a position on ethics, and a position on epistemological issues. Having worked all through all of those issues, formed one's answers, and hopefully formed answers that are consistent and hang together, and even more importantly, are in your judgment true and operational. What is it to have a whole philosophy of life, right, so to speak? And what I will be doing is talking through 7 such philosophies: idealism, realism, pragmatism, existentialism, behaviorism, Marxism, and postmodernism. All of them are isms, as you can see from the endings here, so collectively I will refer to them in that way. Now, the reason I've picked these 7 is that in my judgment, in 20th century American education, and now that we're into 21st century American education, all 7 of these philosophies, abstract philosophies that they may be, all of them have had and continue to have an enormous influence on how education is done, particularly in the American context, right, from which I am speaking here. Idealism and realism are the two most ancient philosophical traditions, going well back to the Greeks. There are also some pragmatic traditions that one can read into early Greek philosophy as well. But for most of human philosophical history in the Western tradition, it's been an ongoing debate between the idealists and the realists, and to some extent the pragmatists as well. As the educational world became more complicated, as our culture became more complicated by the end of the 19th century and on into the 20th century, the world of philosophy became more professionalized, it became more complicated, and so there began to be developed more philosophical schools that had their own uniqueness and their own integrity, to the point that they came to be given their own ism kinds of labels. Until we get to the mid or later parts of the 20th century, where we can say there have been articulated many different schools of philosophical thought to a high level of professionalism, the 7 that I have on the board here, and all of them, to one degree or another, have had a great deal of influence on educational practice.